You're listening to Bulletproof Radio with Dave Asprey. Today's cool fact of the day is, well, it's about math from 100 years ago. And a woman named Emmy Noether established herself as one of Germany's top mathematicians around the turn of the 20th century. And she figured out things like advanced algebra that no one had ever figured out. And in 1918, she published a theory that was a foundation for 20th century physicists' understanding of reality. And she showed that symmetries in nature implied the conservation laws that physicists had discovered that they didn't quite understand. And this idea of conservation of energy is a requirement for symmetry, which is what nature and our bodies is actually based on. And similarly, conservation of momentum, which is at the core of a lot of our modern physics, came from this very same idea. So who would have thought that observations of nature actually led to all of this stuff, and all of that came from math? Today's guest is none other than Sean Stephenson. And Sean is one of the hugest people I've ever met. And you may know him from his 70 million YouTube views and his 25 years of speaking on stage and working to change the world. And he's actually almost 3 feet tall. And I first met Sean several years ago at a networking event, and I saw him on stage and got to talk afterwards, and I was just blown away at the love and compassion and just joy that he projects in everything he does. Even though he has lived with brittle bone disease, which kills most people long before they reach his age. And he has this amazing story of not just resilience and survival, which is amazing in and of itself, but of just going beyond that into a place of gratitude and service that is just unique in any human being. So I wanted to bring his mindset to all of you today, so that you can sort of understand what goes on in his mind and just in his whole way of being. So Sean, welcome to the show.
It's my pleasure to be here. There's nowhere else in the world I'd rather be right now than a hot tub, or here, either one.
Well, we thought of doing this one in a hot
tub, yeah.
But it was one
or
of those,
a cold plunge, right?
It was one of those rent by hour hot tubs. Yeah. I wasn't going to go there.
Hey, listen, I'm not here to judge.
Now, tell me a little bit about brittle bone disease, because you were talking before we started the cameras, and you were saying that a lot of your life experience is what taught you sort of to be who you are, but also just was a source of your humor, which is just omnipresent. Just kind of walk me through what it was like to shift from survival into where you are now.
So, the opening line of every talk that I've ever given in decades is that when I was born, the doctors told my parents that I would be dead within the first 24 hours of my life. And I'm happy to report 39 years later, all those doctors are dead and I'm still here.
Nice.
And that goes over everywhere, well, except for at hospitals, Dave. They don't like that joke.
Yeah, a little sensitive on that one.
Yeah, exactly. But, with this condition, childhood was just physically brutal. Something as simple as sneezing, Dave, would break a collarbone. Oh. And if you've ever broken a collarbone, it's one of the worst bones to break, maybe second to the femur. It's just so painful. Sneezing would break a collarbone. Putting on a pair of pants too quickly would break a femur. Coughing would break ribs. By the time I was 18, I had fractured over 200 times. And when you hear 200, it's kind of hard to fathom that,
right?
Because each bone took 4 to 6 weeks to heal. And sometimes there would be multiple fractures. So if I had an accident, which I have had a few times in my life, I would be healing from a broken nose, a collarbone, and 3 ribs. And so you're managing pain from all different angles, and you can't leave it. And I talk about how pain it's an inevitable part of life. Like, it finds all of us, not just physically, but just emotional pain as well. Pain is inevitable, but what my mom and dad taught me when I was young is suffering is optional. You have a choice to suffer. You have a choice to become addicted to the most addictive substance on the planet, and it's not caffeine or sugar, it's pity.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay.
More human beings are addicted to pity than anything else on the planet. And whenever you are feeling sorry for yourself, you are putting yourself into a disabled spot. And it's a conscious choice to feel sorry for yourself. And many of us feel justified. In fact, I think most of the human race would allow me get out of jail card for
Right.
feeling sorry for myself because of the cards I was dealt. But I think what's made all the difference in my life is at a young age, I found that when you do feel sorry for yourself, people back away from you slowly. And I didn't like that. And I found when you make light of things and you have fun and you make people laugh, they creep toward you. They inch closer to you when you bring them good feelings. When they feel sorry for you, they slowly back away. And so at a young age, I said, well, I want people close. And in my condition, I believe that one of my survival instincts was human connection, and connection is an exchange of humanity. It's an exchange of emotion. And when people connect, they feel it. Maybe they don't know what's happening. They just know that there's that bond that's being built. And so at a young age, I became really intrigued by connecting with others. And then as I got older, I wanted to do it as a profession. And so I still to this day, I am never satiated on connection tools. So if, whether it's being a trainer of NLP that I went and spent a good 10 years of my life going and mastering, a doctorate of clinical hypnosis to understand the unconscious mind that I spent many years of my life, to behavioral science, to even down to the biology of just understanding pheromones and these things that maybe we don't consciously release, but they're always an actor and interacting with us. Just, I'm somebody that if there's another level of understanding on how you and I can bond deeper, I want to know it. Because I selfishly know that I will go further in my life and I will have a better existence if I know how to bond closely with you.
How do you respond if someone sees that you're in a wheelchair and they come up and they just naturally come towards you with pity? Like what goes through your mind, and then how do you deal with that?
So that has a lot to do with them.
Yeah.
And very little to do with me. And so therefore I don't have to take it personally.
Cool.
So therefore I don't have to be defensive. See, I upset a lot of people with disabilities, unfortunately, because I don't associate with my highest identity being disabled. Because disabled means not able.
Right.
And I'm not going to walk around like a donut doesn't walk around going like, oh, I'm missing all this thing in the center. I'm a loser. No, it's a donut. You're able to dunk it into the coffee or the hot cocoa. Like, that's what makes a donut unique, But most people go around their whole life like donuts, upset that something's missing. Like, oh, I can't be this tall, or I'm not from that family, or I don't have this, background. And really, when you spend all your life identifying with what's missing, you're miserable. Versus what do I have? What can I learn from? How can I grow? What can I contribute? And so when somebody comes at me with that, like feeling sorry for me energy, I'm not upset with them. I never even went through that phase because I know that they're viewing my world through their lens. So they're seeing, well, I would want people to feel sorry for me if I was in his shoes. They're showing their hand so quickly. And so I just let them know, you know what, I see that what you're coming at with me is a form of connection. You're trying to bond with me, or you want me to feel loved, or you want me to feel that you're empathetic, and thank you for that. But you're wasting your time with the way you're doing it, because the way you're doing it is at a vibration that I'm not interested in. Yes, I'm 3 feet tall. Yes, I'm in a wheelchair. Yes, I get stared at, and I have to go about certain daily activities dramatically different than you might. But let me tell you, I've had heartache like you. I've been confused. I've been lost. I've been scared. I've been so angry. I felt slighted. I felt like the world's unfair. I can relate to your world internally far more than you can imagine. And so when I just try to re-educate somebody on the wasted energy of pity, and then also maybe even if they let me in a little bit more, see where are they feeling sorry for themselves. Maybe they feel like I worked with this one guy recently. he's in an arranged marriage. And, he was really young when his parents said, you're going to marry this person. And he didn't want to be with that person. And decades went by and he was miserable. You couldn't tell that on his face or looking at his body, how miserable he felt. But let me tell you, he was far more imprisoned choosing to go along with that than what I deal with my disability. So I'm always looking for how can I go inside of their own world and maybe help them snip their own pity.
Is there a flip side for that? I mean, you've become really successful. There are very few people who've been seen as much on YouTube as you have. You're in at least the top 0.1%, I would guess. And so you've become very recognizable. Do you get people jealous of your success? And like, what does that do to you, both the jealousy and just having that level of visibility?
So I'm going to tell you an embarrassing story. And the embarrassing story is, for a long while, I was obsessed with wanting everybody to like me. It wasn't just good enough if you knew me. I needed you to like me and to know that I was a good guy and that I cared about you. And when somebody would show up in my world who didn't know me, and they would be like, Sean Stephenson's an asshole, or Sean Stephenson he's selfish, or he's only about the money, or his wife doesn't even really love him. It's a prostitute probably that he's paying, because who would want to be with a guy like him, And when those comments used to come at me, I felt the need to debate every single one of them.
Oh, yeah.
And I would waste so much time and energy on social media, offline even, trying to meet the people that were hating on me from a distance that I didn't know, to try to convince them, no, you got it all wrong. I am a good guy. And what I found blew my mind. And that is, they want something to hate because they aren't comfortable with themselves. And so I just happened to show up in their field of vision. But there was somebody else after I was gone. There was another person and another person. And there are some people on this planet that no matter how much you try to give them examples of how you love them or you care about them, the world is a good place, they are hell-bent to be angry human beings. And now I've stopped trying to reach those people. And the best metaphor I can give you on that is, and I don't know if it's true or it's just a folklore tale, but it really helped me, is it's the Coast Guard motto. When a Coast Guard is flying its helicopter over a shipwreck and there's all these people in the water and they only have so much room in the helicopter, do you know who they decide to save?
I have no idea.
The people that swim toward them. So when somebody's swimming toward you, they want your help. They want your love. They want your attention. They want your kindness. And I love being around people that swim toward me. I am no longer in the business or in the interest of swimming toward people that don't want me, that won't do the effort to come my way, that are either flailing around in pity, like, oh, come save me, or swimming away. The definition of a victim is somebody that runs into a burning building screaming, help me, help me.
Right.
I don't have time for that. They're going to get us both killed, energetically. And so I now am at this place because of the visibility. I mean, we had one video go to 70 million. That would then we've added it all up. Over 300 million people have seen my work.
Wow.
And when you think about those numbers, like, that's almost the population of the United States. And it's kind of unfathomable, and it's hard to believe until I start going to airports around the world. And the guy in Lithuania is patting me down, and he is speaking to me about how he knows who I am. Or I'm in Switzerland, and my massage therapist at the hotel, who I don't know, is giving me a back rub saying, I love your videos. Thank you so much for what you've done for my child. And like, that blows my mind about how the world really is flat, like that it's so small. Because of technology, I've been able to be in people's lives in ways that were never possible 20 years ago. And, to get the reactions for every one person that's hating on me, there's so many more people that are swimming toward me, that love me, and they get my attention now. And so I really